Did you know that there are prisoners in the United States who are learning to program as if they were students at MIT? Yes, prisoners, murderers, thieves, convicts, but also web designers, app creators, laptop dreamers behind bars. And I assure you one thing, after seeing this, you will never look at a prisoner the same way again. And if you ever thought that a person can't change, you have to see this. This didn't start with a laptop or a line of code. It started with a crime, with a conviction, with a cold cell and a soul-killing routine. Taz was 22 years old. One mistake, one night, one sentence, 25 years. But one day, someone said, "Do you want to learn to program?" He himself said, "I didn't even know what that was. I thought it was just another class to waste my time." And so it began, with doubts, with fear, and with a first line of code that said, console.log, hello world. But something changed. For the first time in years, he didn't think about his crime. He thought about how to make that line show something more. And when many left, he stayed. Hours, days, weeks, just him and the code. He said, "The first time I finished an application, I felt like I was worth something again." A crime convicted him. One line of code gave him back his purpose. This is not just a story about prisoners who program. It's about second chances. And it's just getting started. The early days, it was just lines, commands, soulless symbols. But something started to happen. Something strange. That keyboard, it wasn't a keyboard anymore. It was a key that, for an instant, unlocked the cell. That first program, that simple phrase on the screen, it wasn't just a greeting to the world. It was a cry from deep inside. I am alive. I can still create something. I had promised him that I was going to change, that this time, he meant it. But no one believed in him, not the guards, nor his companions, sometimes, not even himself. It's easy to laugh at a dream, especially when it comes from someone like him, prisoner, poor, uneducated. But the code doesn't judge you. The code doesn't ask you who you are. It just wants to know if you can figure it out. The first few weeks were brutal. Everything failed. Errors, and more errors. Syntax error. Null pointer exception. And the worst, that little voice that said, "You can't." But there, in the darkest night, the code compiled again. And for the first time, it worked. That little program wasn't going to change the world. But it did change his. Because for the first time, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Power. Something was happening. It wasn't just him anymore. There was a spark. And that spark started to catch. $50 from the inside, from a cell, for a solution he had created himself. That wasn't just money. That was freedom. What started as an attempt to kill time was beginning to kill something else, mental doom. And that was just the beginning. That email, it didn't seem real. An offer from the other side of the world. For someone like him, a mistake, a joke, a miracle. His heart leapt out of his chest. It wasn't just code now. It was a proposal, contract, real money, real responsibility. The last time someone trusted him, he ended up in jail. Now someone else did. But this time, there was no room for failure. What if I'm not enough? What if they realize I'm in jail? What if I ruin everything? Again. But that day, he decided to write. Not like before. Not to escape, but to build. He spent sleepless nights. He corrected mistakes that no one saw. He started over when he failed. And for the first time, he wasn't looking for the way out. He was looking for the result. They treated him like a professional. And that hurt him, because for years, he believed otherwise. He thought he was trash. But now someone expected his work. And he didn't plan to let them down. $250 from prison, from a windowless cell, from the bottom of the well, from a dusty keyboard. It was real. One camera, a chair, a prisoner. It wasn't the first time he had been interviewed, but it was the first time he was really listened to. The production company that filmed the documentary entered the pavilion without knowing what was going to happen. They were only looking for stories of reinsertion. They didn't know they were about to encounter one that would change everything. One of the prisoners said these words, "I came in here with hatred, with a hunger for revenge. But I started programming, and now I want to change the world." What started as a simple chat turned into a raw, honest, brutal confession. He wasn't just talking about code. He spoke of pain, of redemption, and of an opportunity he never thought he'd have. The prisoner said, "Every line of code I write is a part of me that no longer wants to commit a crime, that wants to build. I don't ask to be forgiven. I ask to be heard." The interview was published in networks without much expectation. One more video among millions. But within 24 hours, the whole world was watching. TikTok went viral. Twitter exploded. LinkedIn made it a symbol. And YouTube immortalized it. And while everyone was talking about him, he was still there, inside, imprisoned, coding, silently, waiting for freedom. But true freedom was closer than I thought. After years, the door opened. But this time it wasn't a cell. It was the door to the real world. There was no family waiting. There were no hugs. Just a bag, an ID card, and a head full of dreams written in code. Freedom did not overwhelm him. It overwhelmed him, because being free is also a responsibility. But he was not alone. There was the keyboard, the laptop given to him by volunteers. And that offer that arrived just a day before he left. They didn't hire him out of pity. He was hired because his code was good, because he taught himself, because in the darkness of a cell, he had built a new life. The first day he didn't say much. He just wrote, one function after another, one system after another, as if the world he imagined from the inside could finally exist. Today he is no longer called the prisoner. They call him Dev, developer, creator, programmer. And although the scars don't disappear, they no longer define him, because it doesn't matter where you started. It matters what you did with what you got.